What we like to do when we start out our events is, number one, we thank our sponsors, okay? And if you take a look, we got a lot of sponsors here. And this is how we can do this at this great establishment, is you help us underwrite this event. I want to thank Allard Truck Leasing, American Precision Services, BP, Cleveland Cliffs, Digital Crossroads, Icorn & Icorn, First Merchants Bank, First Midwest Bank, Hassey Construction and Engineering Company, Latitudes Commercial Realty, and one of the mayor's favorite, Notre Dame Federal Credit Union. Hi, Mayor. Go Irish. Thank you all for doing this and for supporting the Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce. Now, there are two quick things. We give away a couple items, one of which, here's a cool one. They're both cool. Let's Go Hawks. It's a Chicago Blackhawks signed picture. Tom Dockich, courtesy of Digital Crossroads. Tom, thank you very much for donating. And the winner is Bob Migliarini. Bob, don't sell that. Don't sell it. Dockich has a number on it, a tracer. There's one more. And this is nothing like I planned. It's a book. It's not me. Nothing Like I Planned, from a famous author in Hammond, Dave Warple. Okay? Dave has bought 50,000 copies of this book. And if he doesn't sell any, he's in trouble. So you can buy a book, right, Mr. Warple? Just say yes. And the winner of this is North Township trustee Adrian Santos. Adrian. I'll leave it up here. You can't sell that after you read it, Adrian. Okay. Today, we have, and I'd like for them to raise their hand, students from Hass, Morton, and Hammond Central in the back of the room there. Could you raise your hand, please, students? I want to thank Dr. Egan and Dr. Miller for bringing the students, and courtesy of Allard Truck Leasing and American Precision Services, who underwrote the students coming today. But we did this with the ladies-in-law, if you remember our luncheon sometime earlier when we had our 4 ladies judges. And the students ate with the judges, and really was a pretty keen experience for both of them. So we're going to start doing this, bringing students with the superintendents or principals to rub elbows with you, the business community. So say hello to them, congratulate them, and wish them well. Where was I? Oh, I may as well give you your first lesson on how a chamber works, students, okay? Networking. Talking to your peers at a gathering such as this, and here's a great example. The former Bank Calumet building, 9 stories, 100,000 square feet, sat empty for years, right across from our office. Recently, Leah Conradi, who was the former head of One Region, was having coffee in Michigan City, and she was discussing downtown Hammond. A lady named Anastasia Fratto, who is not here, she was going to come, but she couldn't make it, overheard the conversation, introduced herself to Leah. Months later, Anastasia and her partner bought the Bank Calumet building and are going to invest $24 million in downtown Hammond over a cup of coffee, okay? It's pretty cool. Mayor, we've been doing the State of the City with you for 18 years. And it's never a challenge to come up with new topics because you keep making it happen in Hammond. We always talk about such topics as Oxbow, the former Carson site, North Hammond and Robertsdale, College Bound, selling water to our good friends in Illinois. But each year, something new continues to pop up in all these areas, and we will continue to cover them. I was going through some old newspaper clippings. This one came up. You may not remember this, but the headline reads, "McDermott deserves credit for leading on unification." Bill Dangle, wrote this, our good friend Bill Dangle, the executive editor of the Times at the time, The story led off with a question. What if East Chicago, Hammond, and Gary were one super city with a population of 200,000 determined region citizens? This was 6 years ago, Mayor, and maybe we need to run this idea up the flagpole again. Tom Dockich has even built a flagpole for us, out on the lake. So free advertising, we can do it. Mr. Nangle closes the article with McDermott saying this. McDermott sees the benefits Indianapolis has acquired through a merger. He should be recognized and encouraged for taking on a controversial but worthwhile issue. It shows he is open-minded, looking to the future to find the best form of government for our community. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas McDermott, Jr., our mayor. If you haven't been here before, what we do is I'll cruise around and we'll ask questions of the mayor, and he likes to roam up here, so.
Check. All right.
Yeah. And see, there's a mic there.
Thanks, Dave.
That was that one.
You hear me?
Yeah.
I spent the last 6 years trying to get people to forget about that article. Miss Mr. Nagel, I miss him a lot. He's a great man.
Yeah.
Him and I had a great history, but
Sure did.
it's a great idea still. Honestly, I just don't know about the appetite, I know. In
We'll keep
Northwest
working on it.
Indiana. So anyway, appreciate you. Thanks for inviting me out.
Okay.
It's great to see everybody for the Lakeshore Chamber Luncheon. Truly my favorite event of the year. I love coming out here. I was asked by Jim Delo of WJLB before I got up here, what was the topic? And I said, no topic. It's impromptu. Dave and I have been doing this a while. We do have a meeting beforehand to just talk about, in general, where he's going to go. So I have an idea of what we're going to talk about, but I look at this as like a mayor's night out. We call it State of the City, but normally State of the City is very stiff, reading from a speech, and a lot of pomp and circumstance. In this case, it's just Dave and I talking. And if you have a question, raise your hand. I don't have a problem with it, but I'm not sure how Dave feels about it, but...
No, don't ask any questions yet.
Dave likes to keep a tight rein on things, So anyway, it's great to see you all. Thanks for coming out. I want to recognize my wife, Marissa, who could not be in attendance. She's our Lake County Circuit Court judge. I wish she was here right now, and she usually is. And also my son, Chase McDermott, attorney with Icorn and Icorns in the audience. Good to see you, buddy. I didn't mean to call you buddy in front of your coworkers. I apologize for that. I also want to recognize my brothers, Aaron and Brett, for being here. Thank you very much, Aaron and Brett. Good to see you, buddy. They're from Latitude Commercial, so I gave them their props. Anyway, I'm ready to go. I want to thank the Hammond residents for 18 years of support and encouragement. And I also want to thank my city council, a lot of members who are in attendance, so if you don't mind while I recognize them. We're in Hammond's 1st District right now, and the 1st District Councilman's also here. Councilman Mark Halwinski, good to see you, Councilman Mark. Hammond's 5th District Councilman's also our council president. That's Councilman Dave Warple. Hammond's 6th District, which is Hessville, is Councilman Scott Rakos. Good to see you, Councilman. Councilwoman at Large, which is the entire city, Janet Venez. Also, Councilman at Large, the entire city, Dan Spitali. I want to recognize Hammond's commissioner, who's in attendance today, Commissioner Mike Ripe. Thank you very much, Commissioner. And he's from East Chicago, but he represents the city of Hammond as our North Township trustee, Adrian Santos. Good to see you. Also, of the city of Hammond, she represents our city on the school board, Carlotta Blake King, school trustee. Thank you, Ms. King. I'm going by a list that I was supplied with. Did I miss any? I hope I did not, because that would be embarrassing. Thank you all for being in attendance, and to the residents of Hammond, and to the business community, and to the people who invested in our city, and to the people who are thinking of investing in our city. Thank you so much. I'd like to think Hammond's a great place to invest. We've worked really hard over the last 18 years encouraging the business community to invest in our city, because we can't do it alone. And we've had great help from all of you, and I appreciate it. And we're looking forward to more work. As long as I'm sitting in the mayor's office, I want to be moving forward. That's been my motto since the day one that I walked in. So, Dave, I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Okay, Mayor, let's fire up. Ann Anderson helped me with a list and of things that are happening in Hammond. I appreciate it, Ann. Let's start with downtown revitalization.
Sure.
Redesign of Holman Avenue. What's happening down there where the fountain is and so forth? Can you tell us?
Well, we, as everybody remembers, we hired Jeff Speck a few years back, who is a rock star planner. We hired him, brought him in. He basically moved to the city of Hammond for a couple months, talked to a lot of us. A lot of people in here right now had a big part of that. And he made recommendations for revitalizing our downtown and changing the way. One of the weaknesses that we have when we're all living in the same area and we've been here for years and years is we get set in our ways and we don't think outside of the box. When I first took over as mayor, it's one of the things I sold the city on is sometimes it's good to bring in an outsider to come in and look at things differently. Well, I've been here for almost 3 decades now, so I sometimes get set in my ways as well. So we bring in Jeff Speck. He looks at downtown Hammond and is thinking completely out of the box, and we promised that we were going to work with him, and he has some great ideas, and we put our money where our mouth is. Not only did we hire this guy, we're investing in his vision. His vision is completely redesign Holman Avenue to slow the traffic down. The weakness in downtown Hammond is a couple things. One of the big things is it's hard to feel comfortable when you park on one side of Holman Avenue and you walk across Holman Avenue to the business side and there's traffic going 45, 50 miles an hour, sometimes faster. It's a 4-lane highway? Not really, but yeah. You know, I go through Munster on Holman Avenue, and when I'm driving through Munster on Holman, it's very neighborly-like. It's very slow, 35. Hi, how's it going, Mr. Smith? Nice to see you. And then you get to the river, and it's like, you know? And that's not good for business for us. It doesn't make people feel comfortable. It doesn't give the business community confidence. And that was one of the things that we want to attack. And we listened to Mr. Speck. And if you are one of the people, like, you know, I'm not going to say I've never done it, but you use Holman Avenue as a shortcut because it's faster than Calumet, you probably aren't going to be crazy about this plan, okay? Because this plan's going to slow it down. It's going to look a lot more like Munster and how when you're going through Munster on a single lane, and then instead of the other lane, there's going to be parking there, which is another weakness we have in downtown Hammond is a lack of parking. So we're slowing the traffic down. We're giving you guys more places to park. We're going to do everything we can to invest in downtown Hammond, including some residential developments that are coming. Now, keep in mind, with the South Shore expansion is going to help us redevelop downtown Hammond as well. And eventually, I wish this was part of the original plan, but it's not. There's going to be a station in downtown Hammond right by the federal courthouse, real close to 18th Street when you think about it. With all these things going for us in downtown Hammond, it's going to be a different place. And I tell you, I'm not going to tell you I don't have skeptics on this because we've seen what's become of downtown Hammond over the last 3-4 decades, and it's hard for people to appreciate that we could turn this around. But we can turn this around. The South Shore Line and the U.S. federal government and the RDA and all of us locals are investing close to $1 billion for a stretch of railroad that goes from Hammond to Dyer. $1 billion. It's going to completely change the way that area looks. You look at 30, 40 years from now, it's going to look a lot more like Chicago, for better or for worse. A lot more like, hopefully, the rail lines, the metro rail lines, and all the development, and all the young people, and the Starbucks, and that's what I hope 30 or 40 years from now. That's the bet. That's why we're investing this money, is we're hoping, 30, 40 years from now, it's going to be different. Now, there's skeptics out there that are telling us, rail is going away. People don't use rail anymore, and people, Chicago's a dying city. If Chicago's a dying city, we're in trouble. Okay? And I hear people banging on Chicago. I go there all the time, and I'm not scared when I go there. I'm scared when I see people's attitude with what's going on, and I'm definitely scared when I hear about carjackings and stuff like that. But if Chicago goes downhill, we're all in trouble. I don't care if you live in Valparaiso or Hammond. We're all in trouble if that's the case. So I suggest we pull together and try to make it work, and that's what I'm trying to do. And this is Pete Wiskoski's vision. He's no longer our congressman, but I know our new congressman, Frank Murphy, completely supports it, as does the mayor of Hammond. I signed on the dotted line. The city council supported me. I appreciate them for that. And we have a big investment coming to our city. And I think it's going to be transformational, and I hope it's for the better. But yeah, Jeff Speck helped us a lot, Dave.
Mayor, that leads into a couple other things. What you spoke of is about a $5 million project.
The downtown Hammond station?
The next 3 we're talking about is almost $70 million.
Sure.
And I'd like to start with the Madison Lofts on
Sure.
I think that's the north side of where Ray Garcia's restaurant is, Eat.
Right. Northeast corner of Sibley and Hammond, right?
Right. Can you tell us about that? When
Sure.
that might start?
It's a $15 million investment, 54-unit, 5-story building. Madison Lofts is owned. I don't know if it's 100% owned, but it's a friend of the administration. A gentleman that used to live in the Chicago area named Rob Farino has done business for us in other areas of the city. This is a gentleman that moved from the north suburbs of Chicago to Munster, moved his business to Hammond. He is a believer in Indiana and what we're doing here because he's saving tens of thousands of dollars a month in taxes savings. So he's a converted Hoosier, and he wants to invest in our city, and he believes in downtown Hammond and the vision. He knows what this type of environment did for the Chicagoland area, but 54-unit, 5-story building, 8,700 feet of retail space, 20 permanent jobs, groundbreaking this spring, $15 million investment. Across the street from me, just to the north.
Great. That's a big one.
I agree.
Right south of that is the Bank Calumet building.
Right.
And I think the former chairman is sitting right over here drinking tea.
Don
Cal,
Babcock.
how are you?
Don's a great guy. He's seen it happen in Michigan City, Don Babcock. Seen it happen in Michigan City, learned about it while he was working for NIPSCO in a regional type of area. And now Don brings that expertise in a group to Hammond that wants to invest in our downtown. And I tell you what, when I look at the region, I've become pretty familiar with northern Indiana, especially lately. When I go to Michigan City, I feel like I'm home. Michigan City and Hammond should be sister cities, quite frankly. We have so much in common. And very similar types of people, very similar types of issues, both casino cities, both on the lake, both have a college-bound scholarship program, and they have kicked our butt in regards to downtown. I love downtown Michigan City. Hammond could be like that. Michigan City proved it. So when I go to Michigan City, I see Hammond, except for I think they outdid us tenfold on what they're doing downtown, and a guy like Don was part of that, and now he wants to help us, and I think that's a blessing. And I appreciate him for bringing his group and working with us on downtown Hammond.
So what?
Thank you, Don. I appreciate you, sir. I do. And, I think it's great for our city. And by the way, we have real smart people that live in the region. And sometimes we have a tendency not to listen to each other. And I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm part, I've been mayor a long time. I'd like to think I've matured a lot in the 18 years I've been mayor. I don't get in fights as much as I used to. I try not to. But anyway, I appreciate you, Don, for what you did. And downtown Hammond, Bank Calumet building, $24 million investment, 100 plus units, 7,000 square feet of new retail space, 25 permanent jobs, rehab starting early this spring. These people are investing in downtown Hammond because they trust us, which is one of the biggest things I could offer as mayor. I've sort of figured out my job. I always say I'm like a realtor. I am sort of like a realtor. But what I think your job is as mayor is to give people trust, to give people confidence. And if I can give you trust and confidence that we're going to follow through on our end, there's a lot of people that will invest. So we say, Phil, my great chief of staff, my economic development team, Africa Tarver, Ann Anderson, Juan Moreno, great team. And when we say, thank you, could you give them a big round of applause, please? Africa is also my appointee to the RDA. But so when we say we're going to build a train station behind the federal courthouse, the common question is, well, why isn't it being built right now? Aren't they doing a big expansion of the rail line? It's true. We couldn't, because if we would have inserted this train station into that plan with the red tape in Washington, D.C., we'd have probably torpedoed the whole deal. So we made a deal. We'll hold off on the downtown Hammond train station until the day that train runs. The first day it runs, we're breaking ground. We got it designed. We got the pad set aside. We're ready to go. But the people that are investing in downtown Hammond are banking on us. They're confident in us, and they trust us, and that's huge to get. It took me a while as mayor to get the trust from the community like that. So I appreciate the confidence that the people in downtown Hammond are showing in us, because we got to get the job done, and we will, by the way.
So that's 100 units.
Yes, sir.
The Madison Lofts are 54 units.
Yes, sir.
Now you're talking about Rimbach Plaza.
Yep, 208 units, 6,600 square feet of new retail space, $24 million investment, a public plaza, which is where the fountain that we're relocating is going to go to, literally across the street, breaking ground this year. Quick math, between those three developments in downtown Hammond, 24, 48, 58, $75 million. I'm doing McDermott math. No, I'm just kidding. That's like 60. I'm sort of famous with my team for exaggerating everything, so let's just call it 100 million and make it even, okay? Like every year, if you ask me how many people were at the Festival of Lakes last night, I'm going to tell you 15,000. I don't care if there's 3,000, okay? So.
Well, let's switch a little bit from downtown Hammond. Hammond is a big city, you know, almost 80,000 people, big L-shaped and so forth. What about Kennedy Avenue? And you've got Purdue over at Dowling Park, the new Cube, the new hockey arena, which is tremendous over there. And what's going to happen in the Hessville area?
By the way, just this morning I was listening to the radio, heard the athletic director for Purdue Northwest talking about the Purdue hockey team and their games coming up, and I thought that was really cool. To be the mayor of a city where you have a hockey team that plays college hockey is really cool. I mean, that didn't exist when I took over as mayor, and it couldn't exist because we didn't have an ice rink. Well, now we have an ice rink, and our great local college says, hey, let's start a D2 hockey team. That's wonderful. And by the way, there's talk about going even further in that regard. And I'm not going to be the one that breaks the news, but I like what's going on at PNW. I think Tom Keon, the chancellor of PNW, has done a great job. He's a partner with the local community. I see him back there. Nice to see you, Chancellor. Tom Keon. I'm not gonna talk anymore because I'm also famous for blowing big secrets. So, but I'm feeling real good about what's going on with PNW. I'm feeling real good with what's going on in athletics. And this goes for the high school, the new high school, Hammond Central, Morton. There's some about athletics that gives a community pride, right? You know, you go to Valpo, they're like, did you see our football team? And everybody's talking about the same football team, right? In Hammond, we have our 4 public high schools, we have Bishop Knoll, we have Hast, right? And then, unfortunately for us, a lot of the times the talent on these teams got watered down so much that you don't win a lot. And I tell you, I'd like to see that change because I'm selfish for the city of Hammond. I'd like to be like, man, did you see our football team? Hammond Central, or the basketball team, or the women's basketball team, or whatever it is, going to state finals. That kind of stuff helps your city. And I think the school city has done an excellent job. I do. I love the new high school. Thank you. I love it. I'm proud of it. I know this isn't on your question. I'm going to get to it in a second. I love the new high school. I'm proud of the new high school. I know a lot of people are trying to bang on it, and people are complaining about taxes. That's normal stuff. An urban city built a $100 million high school, brand new high school. That does not happen in Indiana very often at all. That's something for us in Hammond to be very proud of. And I am. And I'm really excited about the future with what's going on. I think the school city's got great leadership. I think the school city's doing everything they can to assure our kids get a better education. And I think that makes my job easier as mayor. But going back to your question, which is about Kennedy Avenue.
Hessville, right.
How did I end up on the other side of town?
I have no idea.
This is impromptu. I told you. Like, it's obvious this is not pre-recorded or talked. Kennedy Avenue, we stole Jeff Speck's idea, downtown Hammond. We learned from what he was telling us, and we compared the problems in downtown Hammond, too fast of traffic, lack of parking, economic development leaving, and then we looked at Hessville and said, our problems in Hessville are the exact same thing as we have in downtown Hammond. The cars going from East Chicago to Highland and Highland to East Chicago, including my car. I'm not going to say I've never taken these shortcuts. The traffic's 40, 50 miles an hour going right through Hessville, right by Freddy's Steakhouse. How comfortable would you feel at Freddy's Steakhouse knowing at any second a car could come crashing through, right? We need to slow the traffic down. Well, it's built for speed. You got a 4-lane highway. It's not supposed to be like that. So what we're going to do is, using the same principles we learned with Jeff Speck, we're going to widen the sidewalks in Hessville, make them twice as big. We're going to give a lot more parking on the street, and we're going to go down to 2 lanes. And it's going to slow traffic down tremendously. And there's going to be people that are like, you took away my shortcut. I got to use Klein now, right? No offense, Klein Avenue Bridge, if you're in here. You could go north and pay the toll. I have no problem with that, okay? But what I'm saying is, we're going to push the traffic out to the boulevard, which is where it belongs, and out into Klein Avenue, which is where it belongs. We put our money where our mouth is on that project also. Downtown Hammond, $5 million of ARP money for that project. Downtown Hessville, $5 million of money for that project. By the way, keep on talking about the council and the mayor. Very cognizant of the fact they're here, and I appreciate them being here. First city in Indiana to pass ARP spending plan, Hammond. 9-0. We made it so that we worked with the council, and the council worked with the mayor, and they approved, and it's important that we approved. We did $40 million worth of approvals, and we're bidding that out right now. So the limited manpower we have is going to be bidding on Hammond jobs and using their manpower to do our jobs next year. Instead of fighting with each other and slowing things down, we're going to be using that money and putting it to work. And not just that, we did 100% into infrastructure, and I appreciate the council's support on that, 100%. That was not necessarily popular. There was some pressure on us to, hey, why don't you give some money to the employees? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I said, no. This is somewhat controversial. 9 out of our 11 federal representatives voted against it, and they're waiting for us to screw up with this money. The only 2 that voted for it, Andre Carson, congressman from Indianapolis, Frank Mervan, the congressman from the region. They voted yes, it passed. City of Hammond got $51 million ARP money. Our schools got $40 million something. Our county got money. East Chicago Gary got money. All the communities got money. Are we so broken as a country? We're not giving money to our schools anymore? Hey, Hammond, could you use an extra $40 million in your schools? I imagine I know what Scott's going to say. Heck yeah, we could use that money. We could put it to good work. And we send 11 representatives to Washington, D.C., and 9 out of 11 say, no, that's broken, guys. That's broken. I don't care what party you're in. I don't care how you feel. As a country, we should be worried about that. That's broken. Why are they voting no? Because I don't want to make this guy look good. And why are you voting yes? Because I wanted this guy to look good. It's not about us anymore. Let me talk another time about this. We're not here to hear me preach, but yes, we're using that money, that ARP money on downtown Hessville. We're using that ARP money on downtown Hammond. We're using that ARP money for new housing and great projects. I'm proud of it. And I couldn't have done it without the council. True.
Okay, this is the last time we're going to talk about this subject.
What?
But it's a great subject. Oxbow Park.
Yeah.
And it used to be
I agree.
an eyesore, empty.
I agree.
Now it's almost packed.
You know why it's the last time we're going to talk about it?
I don't know, tell me.
Because we're done. This is not like George Bush on the aircraft carrier done, right? We're done. We filled it. The last 2 parcels are being built out right now. Next year when we come back, they're going to be part of the Chamber of Commerce, these new buildings that take over. That was a problem when I took over as mayor a long time ago. It was a problem of crime. It was a problem of blight. It was like a stain on our community, meaning people are like, if you could let this happen in Hammond, I don't want to be part of it. We took it, we eliminated it, and we took something that I spent $15 million for as your mayor, and it's probably worth $60 or $70 million now. We have great law firms, Icorn, located there. We have great restaurants located there. We have 3 hotels, soon to be 3, located there. It was one of the biggest negatives we had in our city, and now it's one of the shining examples that we could do it. So when I think about downtown Hammond, I think about Oxbow. And I know we did that, and that was not easy. I took a lot of hits. I spent $15 million, and then the recession hit, and we couldn't do anything except for pay our debt. That wasn't popular. So we could do it in downtown Hammond. I know we can. And we could definitely do it in Hessville, and we will. So.
And that just spreads to other parts of the city, too. You know, it's like, look at the former Carson site.
Yeah.
You remember standing out there and we were all,
yeah,
hey, bring Carson's, don't tear it down,
yeah.
don't come
back. We had
back.
a community rally to save a store.
Right. And
that's unusual.
Later it was gone.
Right? I don't even shop that much, being honest with you.
But now what's happening at that? You build a beautiful community center.
Yeah.
You got soccer, you got basketball, indoor.
I was having this conversation with Craig White yesterday, Dean and Barbara White family, Bill Hanna, who represents the organization. We were talking about what the next phase of the YMCA project is going to be. You know, it's not news that the YMCA is going to build YMCA Supercenter. I don't know, what's the word for it? That's it. Great job. A destination YMCA. And they've chosen that location right next to the Sportsplex, which is wildly successful, by the way. The Sportsplex did $1 million in revenue last year.
Wow.
$1 million in revenue last year. I mean, that's a lot of sports leagues. That's a lot of Gatorade, hot dogs, and pretzels, right? $1 million in revenue. So, and by the way, we're not done on the Sportsplex either, but the Dean and Barbara White family, I don't want to diminish what they're talking about. It started off as a $45 million project. They're going to build a Y with water park attached to it, like a massive water park. Like, I imagine it's going to rival the one in the county runs in South Lake County with just amazing facilities. So I was talking to Craig yesterday, and he was telling me that the cost of the project has gone higher than they anticipated, and they wanted to cover the extra costs, but they needed Hammond to participate, and I said, absolutely. Let me tell you something. When this is unveiled, it's going to blow your minds, what they're talking about at that location. And when you take what we already have with the Sportsplex, compared to what they're talking about with the YMCA, this YMCA they're building is going to be bigger than the one in Crown Point, which makes me so happy because Dave Uran and I are really good friends, and I'm going to let him know that ours is a little bit bigger. I mean, that's important to some people. It's definitely important to Dave, but they're going to change that area. And by the way, that's just between the Dean and Barbara White Foundation and the City of Hammond investment. There's also investment happening in the private sector in that neighborhood that's very exciting as well, that my economic development team is shooting daggers at me right now because I'm not supposed to talk about. But this isn't far off. That's a good neighborhood for us right now. That's a neighborhood of jobs. That's a neighborhood of family activities. That's a neighborhood of just pride for our city. And I'm excited about that, for sure.
It's going to be an awesome development. What about west of there, where the former Walmart used to be? What's happening there?
Good question. That's a medical center now, which is another great story, especially because it opened right before the pandemic, which is North Shore Family Clinics. It's full service. I got my COVID booster shot there. Yes, I'm triple vaccinated. I think it's important for leaders to say. I'm not like trying to rub it in anybody's face, but I think it's important. For people like me, thank you, I appreciate it. Getting ready for the tomato, because they're on your plate. I think it's important for people like me, elected to office, to tell you that I'm vaccinated. I do. Because I think it's important, because I want this damn thing over with, just like you do. And regardless of where you fall on this issue, I think it's important for me to stand up and say, I got my shots, and I got my booster, and I try to wear my mask when appropriate. I just think it's important, okay? Thank you, I appreciate it. I went to Mexico over Christmas. This has nothing to do with your question. But I went to Mexico.
I wonder what that did.
I found it ironic that when I went to Mexico, first off, it was amazing. The weather was perfect. And the level of detail that they paid to COVID down there blew my mind. You think we're strict in Indiana, or you think we're strict in Chicago? Go visit Mexico. Every restaurant you go to, you have to sanitize every time you go anywhere near food. You leave, you got to sanitize, and you come back in. That's not even a question about whether or not you wear your mask. I found it funny as an American that, we're supposed to be, this advanced country and superior in every way, shape, and form, and then I go to Mexico and they schooled us on how to take care of COVID. And they're doing a good job with their numbers, too. A lot better than we are. So maybe we could take some lessons from other people and stop fighting with each other about stupid stuff. Like whether or not you wear a piece of cloth. I picked up my kid the other day. He gets in my car after school. He has to wear it there. I'm driving him home for like over 5 minutes, and he's wearing his mask still. I said, is this something personal? Right? I'm your dad, right? And he's like, oh, I didn't even think about it. Sorry, Dad. Kids don't care. We care more than the kids do. It's not that uncomfortable. So anyway, I'll stop preaching. Sorry.
How was Mexico?
It was great.
Just kidding.
My tan has peeled by now. And Aaron Rodgers was there.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I was trying to get him so bad on video. And I would have burned him somehow, but I couldn't find him. So.
Anybody here like Aaron Rodgers?
There's an author in the front row that likes him. I know that.
Who? Werble does?
Yeah.
I take that book back.
It's one of his flaws, for sure.
Don't read it. Don't read it. Okay, just north of here.
Yes, sir.
Used to be an empty lot. Huge eyesore. You come over the overpass here, and just north of Dynasty.
Oh, yeah.
And
You're talking
UniFirst.
Yeah.
You guys lured UniFirst to that spot. And tell us about that. That's a big job. Big deal.
Literally, it's the building. If you haven't been here in a while and you notice a new building, it's the one you saw pulling in. It's just north of us right now. Outgrew its old location, which was right down the street also. And the city worked with UniFirst to remain in Hammond. It's an $18 million investment, 64,000 square foot, brand new facility, 80 current jobs, and a job growth of up to 15%. Another great job. And we worked hard to keep them. We don't like losing business. And they were down close to the railroad tracks. Completely outgrew their location. They wanted to leave. Reminded me of Lear, and we were scrambling to find a location for them. The first district councilman, Councilman Mark, helped us a lot. worked with them, so they made it beautiful too. They did a great exterior on the building, and it's a great story. So, and I toured the building. It's just amazing going in there and seeing the technology they have. So, but yeah, it's a great story.
It really cleaned up that corner too.
Thank you.
Ann's got something here. I'm not
Hey,
familiar.
how about them Colts, by the way? That was rough, wasn't it? The way that season ended.
I don't think we even care to
This is
talk
like a
about
conversation, Dave. We're just supposed to talk to each other. Yeah.
that. We'll talk about that later. Like Notre Dame's Rose Bowl.
I should have just shut up while I was ahead. Yeah.
United Hospital Services.
Peace. I agree. Let's move on.
And put this in. This is. I'm not even familiar with this.
Yeah, West Point.
I'm sorry if United Hospital Services, are they here? Good, because I'm sorry.
What's that?
I missed that one. Well, no, it's a big project.
Yeah.
And it's right here, right down the street.
It was the coldest groundbreaking in the history of groundbreakings, right?
That's why I wasn't there. Yeah.
How it was like less than zero that day, with a nagging like 80-mile-an-hour wind. It was brutal, but we did it. We cut the ribbon, got the heck out of Dodge. Groundbreaking was November 21. Trust me, it was cold that day. Another $18 million investment, 55,000 square foot, brand new facility, 110 new jobs. Yeah, that was a new development, and that's the final phase of West Point development. That was our last piece of property available. That project started under Mayor Dwayne Dietlow back in the day, and it's finally done.
Wow.
So, I mean, keep that in mind. When we start projects, I mean, they last multiple mayors. I'm lucky as mayor that I got to see a lot of these projects through. A lot of times, I would have started Oxbow, and then if I got beat, somebody else would be standing up here saying, yeah, it was a great idea I had, right? That's just the way it works. I'm lucky in that way. Hey, by the way, I wanted to recognize Horseshoe Casino while they're here. I see Dan Ida and Catherine Jenkins there. Could you give them a big round of applause? Let me tell you something. One thing I did well as mayor was foster relationships with, especially big business, Purdue Northwest and obviously Horseshoe Casino, two of the biggest taxpayers, but they're so great to our community. We could never do the things we do in Hammond without the money received through the partnership we have with Horseshoe Casino. And it is a partnership. And we do talk regularly, and they're very good people to our community. They care about Hammond. And I heard all these fears about the boogeyman when it was recently sold and a new group took over. I haven't noticed a dang thing different, being honest. And when Dan was promoted and took a new role, more regional role, Dan Nita, we all know, very great. Catherine Jenkins took over, and she's amazing. She's a lot better than Dan. No, I'm just kidding, Dan. But they've always brought in quality people to run. They've always done a great job. And I tell you, I feared when Hard Rock opened. I know there's a lot of people in here that's seen Hard Rock, brand new facility. I feared that we were going to be fighting over like the same piece of pie. Really what it's proven is that's a completely different market down there, because we haven't really missed a beat in Hammond, and I know Hard Rock's doing really well down there, and that's good for all of us. So I appreciate what the gaming industry does for our city, and I definitely appreciate what Catherine and Dan have done over the years. So if you can give them a round of applause, please.
Mayor, if I could, pigtail on that. If it weren't for Dan Nita, we wouldn't be here today. Literally.
Nice.
Because, I'm serious. You know what? We canceled 550 people 2 days before the event, okay, at the Horseshoe. And Dan called from Las Vegas and said, hey, Jeff and I were having dinner together, and he said, I got some bad news. And I said to Jeff, this doesn't sound good. It's Dan Nita. And he said, we have to cancel Saturday.
Yeah.
Hello. 550 people. And Dan said, I'll give you a break. We'll shove it down the road, do it when you can, and that really saves us. So thank you.
Nice. Good job.
Thank you
very much. Thank you. Hey, you know what's important is the lawsuit that I filed against the state of Indiana.
They are?
It's not on your notes.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
I missed that one.
It's a lawsuit that's going to affect everybody in this room if we win, and I think we're going to win. It's a voting acts violation that we feel is occurring in Lake County, Allen County, Marion County, and St. Joseph County. Those 4 counties are forced to go through a process when they elect their judges. The only judge we can actually elect in Lake County is the circuit court judge, Marissa, okay? It's the only one that we have to, all the other judges, we have to go through a panel where the ultimate person is chosen by the governor, which disenfranchises us from electing our judges. Now, my goal is this. I just want to be treated like every other county. And if you look at the 4 counties I'm talking about, all of them had significantly higher percentages of African Americans as compared to the other counties. And we're making a claim under the Voting Rights Act that this is an illegal process, and Lake County, Allen County, St. Joseph County, and Marion County should be treated like the other 88 counties in Indiana when we should be able to elect our own judges. I think that's important, and I'm proud of the city of Hammond. And we have great lawyers representing us right now, and I appreciate their help. And that's why, a lot of times people talk to me, and I'm looking at Icorn and they're great lawyers, and they help us with the tough cases, for sure. And the reason I'm saying this is a lot of times when you get sued or you read about a lawsuit, you're just naturally like, oh, these guys are all screwed up. Sometimes they're really important. Like this Voting Acts case, it's really important that we win. And naturally, some people read and they're like, oh, great, Hammond's filing a lawsuit. This is a good lawsuit. If we win, it's going to change history. We'll be electing judges like we should. And you'll see more African Americans, you'll see more women, you'll see more Hispanic people elected to the bench because that's who we are. We're not Marion County, we're not typically, or Hamilton County, we're Lake County. It's a very diverse county. We should be electing our own judges here. And this is an important case to the county. This is an important case to those 4 counties, and I'm proud my name's on that. And I tell you, I'm also getting supported on this by the Hammond Council, and I appreciate them on that, because it's the city of Hammond that's footing the bill on this case, and it's so, so important. And it's the only reason the city of Hammond's footing the bill is because the council let me do this. And if we don't do this, we go on into perpetuity with this Jim Crow-like system. I said it. It is. There's no explanation. There's no reason why we have to go through this process other than it's making it harder to elect judges, and that's why we're doing it. So it's not on Dave's notes. Sometimes lawsuits are good things. That's all I'm trying to say. And the only way to change it is to challenge the system, and they can't justify the system. It's plainly illegal. So I hope, anyway, I'll stop preaching about that also. It's important, though, Dave. Thank you.
State Line Road. A couple years ago,
Yeah.
I used to cut through that way every night going home. And what? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I thought you were doing it for like dramatic effect.
No, I was just being stupid. State Line Road.
I threw you off with that.
You closed, like I said, let me reiterate that. I used to drive through there every night, on the way home, shoot down State Line, cut across, and then Stan built this little...
The wall?
Little wall. It's
The curb?
A mini wall.
The State Line, well, it looks like more
State
like
Line
a wall
mini
now.
wall. And...
It started off as a curb, let's be clear.
I
They
know.
called it a wall.
But it was just like a curb.
It's a curb.
But
Yeah.
it worked. And I noticed it kept people from coming from Illinois into that area.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And,
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, sir. I know you do, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
And this what we were trying to do, and we got sued in federal court for this. Not all lawsuits are bad, right? We got sued in federal court because we were trying to protect our neighborhoods. We put up a curb. It was like 8 inches, if I remember. It was a big curb, but it was not a wall. They called it a wall. It was a curb, okay? And you couldn't, if you drove your car over it, you risked damaging your car, which would deter most people from doing it. And over time, they just stopped going through that neighborhood. So your neighborhood, sir, was a cut-through neighborhood. Because people would get stuck at the state line in 65th and say, I'm not waiting here. I know a shortcut. Wham! Right through your neighborhood. And while I'm going through your neighborhood, I would throw crap out of my window.
that was me. I went right by that guy's house every night. But I go on. I have more. So I go down State Line also now. I either go down Wentworth or I cut over and go down Holman. And every one of those cross streets on State Line heading east now has a boulder the size of Gibraltar,
And eventually they'll be blocked off with.
So I assume it'd be the same curb.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be a development. First off, I want to recognize my city engineer, Dean Button. Nice to see you, Dean. This was in coordination with the councilman from that district, who's Barry Tyler, who's not here, but he's a great councilman. Yeah. We worked together and sent a survey out to the residents, which is how, when we're doing traffic changes, that's how we do it. We survey the residents in that area, said, this is what we're thinking, what do you think? And I don't say 51% we're doing it. It has to be like 65% if I'm going to change something permanently. In fact, we had another part of the city, a project I thought was super important that would have cut down traffic and reduced crime, and the residents came back and we only had 51% that supported it. and I bailed on the project. That's not good enough. We're changing traffic permanently. I'm not going to do it with 51% of the people that love it and 49% of the people are pissed off about it. It's got to be clear. By the way, we did another survey recently in Hessville, came back 65% plus, and we're doing it, okay? So we surveyed this area, showed them what we were talking about, told them why we wanted to do it, which is cutting down the cut-through traffic through your neighborhood. Less traffic equals less crime. Where's my chief of police at? Hey, Andy, what's going on? Chief Andy Short, nice to see you. I learned from my chiefs over the years, you cut down on traffic, you cut down on crime. Think about it. If you have a neighborhood, sir, where cars are constantly going in front of your house, just like constant, and then I'm a bad guy, and I'm scoping your house out, you don't notice me because you think I'm one of the other cars. And it's easy to scope your house out because I could just hang out and be like, okay, that guy goes to work at 8 o'clock a.m., he's usually gone all day, and I break into your house one day, right? But now, when there's no traffic in that neighborhood, and I'm scoping your neighborhood, you're like, what's that guy doing here, right? It works. We did it. You could look at the crime stats before and the crime stats after, and it works. So I go to different parts of the city, I'm like, I got a great idea. Let's cut off the traffic. And they're like, get the heck out of here, Mayor. It's more convenient for me, you know? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It worked going north of 65th, and it definitely worked going south of 65th. And we're in the process now, Dean, of designing that whole development for like Vine and, you know, Detroit and all that. Thank you. So there you go.
You know, Dean also said he was going to pave State Line Road for me.
Nice. That was pretty kind of him. I mean,
Thanks, Dean.
I didn't know he had that kind of scratch, I'll be honest with you. That's cool, though. I mean, whatever. You know, he's generous.
We're working on it. I think we have a question from a student.
Uh-oh.
One of our high school students.
Love student questions.
Could you stand up, young lady, and give us your name? Where are you from?
My name is Jakiria Reed. I'm from
Hi.
Hammond Academy of Science and Technology.
So how's Dr. Egan doing over there?
Great.
He's the best, right?
Yeah.
He's been here almost as long as I have. You know that?
Yeah.
He's a great guy, I agree.
Is he hard on the students, or is he good?
Yeah.
We have a board meeting tonight. Just let me know. You had a question.
So you have a proposal about a bridge near Parrish Avenue. Could
Yes,
you
ma'am.
tell me more about your idea?
Good question. Let me tell you, this is an issue I thought was going to be relatively easy that turned into a lot of explaining. But if I could tell you what the number one complaint to my office has been in 18 years as mayor, fireworks is up there. That's just certain times of the year, okay? It's trains. You know, I was worried to death because I was running a little bit late, and I was worried to death I was going to get caught at the train tracks here, and I didn't today. But it's a coin flip. Every day, it's a coin flip. If you're running late, you could be late. You could be 20 minutes late. It could stop, and you have to just find another way to work, right? Now, Calumet Avenue, it happens a lot. Holman happens a lot. Hessville, they just stop in Hessville. It's not even funny. They just stop. They're just like, okay, I'm just gonna hang out here for 4 hours. And you're sitting there like, I have to go to school, I have to go to work, and the train just stops, and you're in this dilemma. Should I wait with them? Or should I go around, right? Right? And then you talk to Jeff Long, who's my long and my short, my chief, I love it. Jeff Long, the assistant chief of police, nice to see you, Jeff. Jeff served on a railroad committee with me. And it's great to have a police officer's perspective, because he said this a few times, and it had an imprint on me. He said, you know, Mayor, the most dangerous things about trains is when the train stops and the people turn around. Right, Jeff? And they're driving twice as fast. They're usually pissed off, and they're late. And they're driving dangerously. It's a natural thing. I've done it. You're like, God, and you're like, right? That's how much I love you guys. I'm like giving it all up here. So anyway, number one complaint is trains. And we came up with the state of Indiana, Governor Holcomb's office had a grant that we put in for and were awarded 75% of the money, Dean, to build a bridge over it. And we looked at multiple locations where this bridge could go. It just doesn't fit. Because ultimately we need to be 22 feet in the air to get over the trains, okay? And the only way to get to 22 feet, you can't just go, whoosh, like at the last second and go up, right? You have to slowly get up, and by the time you get to the railroad crossing, you have to be at 22 feet. If we did this on Parrish Avenue or any other location, we would be burying neighborhoods behind a wall. Literally, you'd be pulling out of your neighborhood and you would see a wall. And we didn't think that was fair. The only answer was, if we're gonna build this bridge, which gets us over the train tracks, so you'll never be late to school again, right? Well, I mean, naturally. Scott Miller, I didn't see you out there. Superintendent of Schools, Scott Miller, nice to see you. The only way to get us over that train is to build it through an undisturbed area. Now, it's a lot of trees. We were clear. A couple hundred will need to be cut down and replanted. 2 for 1. I would even go 3 for 1. I'm willing to replant everything we take down multiple times, right? Because this is the only answer for us. The only answer is build it here or deal with trains forever. This is a plan that gets us over, and it's mostly being paid for with the state. I'm doing the reasonable, rational thing. I'm eliminating this type of complaint from coming into the mayor's office in the future, and I totally understand that some people are bugged by it. I get it. I'm running in a Democratic primary right now. You think I'm not hearing about this from people that love the environment? I am. But this is so important for our city. That's why I have to do it. I would be negligent as a mayor if I turned down this money and didn't take care of this problem. I would be negligent. And so sometimes as mayor, you gotta bite the bullet, and you know you're gonna make people angry, and you know that people are gonna be upset. And I promise you that every tree we take down is gonna be replanted. And I'm rest assured knowing that in this same neighborhood where this dune is also a park that's protected forever called Gibson Woods Park, that's about 100 times larger, and it's dune and swale recognized by the state of Indiana, so it's not much longer, farther away to get to a park that's protected. So anyway, I appreciate that question. It's a big deal, what you brought up. And I was in a mayor's night out for 2.5 hours getting beat up on this topic, and the craziest thing happened. There was this lady in there that stood up and said, "Don't say that about the mayor, he's a great man." And we were like, and it wasn't Marissa, right? And I'm like, who is this? And she gets up and she starts telling this story about it was an icy day and she was on Client Avenue and she was stuck. And this guy came along, put on his police lights and helped push her up a hill. And you would have thought I set this up. I swear, everybody's like, you were getting your butt kicked and this lady saved you? That was just God saving me that day, because I did. I mean, I helped her up that hill. And she came back on one of the toughest nights I've had as mayor and totally saved me. And I don't know who she is, actually. She left before. She gave me she gave me flowers, which was really nice of her. But anyway. What was the question again?
What was her name?
What's that?
What was her name? Oh, you don't know. Never mind.
No, I don't know her name. She was on the Mayor's Night Out video.
All right.
But seriously, my team came up and they're like, okay, who's the lady you set up to say that story? I'm like, that was a true story. I have lights on my car, and I drive around all the time, and you'd be shocked at how often I stumble upon, somebody doing something or an accident that just happened, and usually I'm there before the officers. I'll call up Jeff or I'll call up the chief, like, hey, I'm out here at 165th, there's an accident, and I'm blocking the intersection, like with my little truck that, barely lights up, so that was one of those days.
Is that legal?
My lawyer just looked at me and advised me to take the 5th on that, so.
Okay. New housing in Hammond, up on New York Avenue, north of BP there.
Yeah, Delo Parkway.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right, Delo Parkway.
Yes, sir. Named after the former mayor.
I go
Jim.
by there a lot.
Just kidding. I love you, Jim. It was named after Mayor Dwayne Delo Parkway.
Right.
Exactly. But I know the whole family's super proud of it.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that.
And there were a lot of individual, what do you call them, zero lot lines, homes going in there.
Yeah.
Now there are 3 big ones going in.
Yeah.
There was one large house.
I know.
Now 3 more are going up.
Bill Hutton and his son Justin bought 2 of them, and they're right on the course.
Yeah.
And they at the time, I don't know what they're worth now, but it was really neat during that auction when you saw multiple people bidding on properties, like outbidding each other to be located there. And we called the former mayor and said, you were so significant in the creation of Lost Marsh. When I say so significant, it was his idea. And it's been such a blessing for our city. We felt it was only proper to name the residential area with these houses are probably $300,000 houses to name it after him. And I know he was real proud. And I know the whole family's real proud. They were all out there. And it's a gorgeous area, brand new houses. And they're houses like, upper scale houses that, that we want to see more of getting built in our city.
Well, and there are more, because I just ran across one, Don Keller, who owns Tri-State Automation and robotics and everything. And he and I were talking yesterday about near Michigan and Columbia. It used to be the old Elks Club property right there. So he bought all those properties, cleaned them all up, and he said he was having trouble with getting. He wanted to build a fence between there were 4 more houses going up there.
Right. Yeah.
300,000 apiece.
That
I talked to the guy this morning who's building them. Don wants to help build a fence there. You know, he's a great citizen and he'll participate at his cost. And he wants to build a nice fence between the manufacturing site and the houses.
That's great. That's that area over there started under the DeLo administration also,
Right.
called Millennium Development. And I know that we recently made a deal with them where United Neighborhoods, run by Levita Sparks Wade, is going to help develop that area. And it's something we're interested in. And Phil, do you have any more information on that? Sure. This is Phil Taylor, everybody, my chief of staff.
Hey, Phil.
Thank you, Mayor. The first time you said you're a great chief of staff, so I'm already going downward.
What happened?
Yes, we partnered with a developer there. It was actually a mix of several developers. I think right now there are 3 or 4 houses that are well underway. They're all, going to be probably somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000 homes, if not a little bit more. This development has been stalled for a very long time, so we were looking for somebody that wanted to come in from the private side and start building and take advantage of all the things that are going on in Hammond that is making the housing market amazing, and we found one. And can I mention one other thing, Mayor, just because I think,
No, you're done.
It'd be remiss. We were talking about downtown Hammond and the train project and everything, and I just thought it'd be important. It's been just recently where the forum submitted for a Ready Grant application in which Heather Ennis, who happens to be sitting right here, the great Heather Ennis, received $50 million for Northwest Indiana from the state of Indiana. And this is big because you were talking about the train station. $2.5 million of that was on the project list for the surrounding area around the train station on Russell Street that we are hopefully going to see in the future. So I wanted to mention that as well. Thank you, Heather and team, for what you've done.
Very cool.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Heather. Thanks to the governor. Thanks to all the people that participated in the Ready application. It's awesome. It's awesome to see the forum working so hard. She's sitting next to Tom Dockich, who did our State Line Data Center, it's the largest, I said largest data center, and I was schooled one. Largest mission-critical data center, the only mission-critical data center in the state of Indiana. So thank you, Tom, for investing in our city. There's so many important people in here that have worked over the years to make Hammond as great as it is, and we got a lot of work still to do. I don't think I'll ever be satisfied with where we are, but I'm really happy that, I've taken this job. I'm real happy that the residents support me. Couldn't do it without you. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it. And Dave, the Lakeshore Chamber, and I say this every time, and it probably gets old, you guys were the first ones merging. It was just right before I took over as mayor that East Chicago and Hammond merged and sort of showed us the way, honestly. And I think merger's a good thing in government. I do to this day. It's just the appetite's not there for it, especially in the region, because we're so entrenched in our little cities and towns. But the fact is, when I go places like Fort Wayne, it's gorgeous there. And it's a city of 250,000 people, and we could do stuff like that. Fort Wayne has a minor league baseball team. They got a Ruth's Chris downtown. I mean, we could shoot for the stars, but as long as we're in our little parochial area, and I'm just as bad as anybody, okay? But the way to get over this, honestly, if we were one region, if we were like one city, we'd have an NFL team. We're bigger than Miami. If we were one city, like from St. John to Gary to Hammond to Crown Point, Cedar Lake, Lowell, if we were one city, we'd have an NFL team. But instead, they cut us into pieces and we fight with each other. When people say, how come you guys don't get along? We were never supposed to get along. The way you drew up our government created this conflict. We're not bad people. We just fight with each other because these little boundaries on the map. The only way to get rid of that and make ourselves stronger is to merge and to work together. Like Hammond, with our neighbors. We do, right? We sell them water, we take their water, we give them police service, they give us police service. We do. We may fight, but we do work with each other, okay? And when those contracts come up, sometimes we sue each other. That happens, right? You're talking about billions of dollars, right? But I think we're doing a great job in the region. And I'm very, very proud of the elected officials. I am. I know almost all of them. Republican, Democrat. They're great people. Working hard, trying to get rid of a stain that's been over politics in this area for 100 years. We're all trying hard to get rid of that stain, and sometimes it resurfaces, but believe me, these people are good people. I'm talking about the elected officials. We all fight like crazy. Even the council and I fight, but they're good people. They want what's best for the city, just like I do. We may not agree on how to get there, but that's our goal. So thank you, Dave, for starting with the Chamber of Commerce and merging and showing us how to get it done. And thank you to you and your board. I appreciate
Mayor,
that.
and if I could, Deanne Patina's here from the Crossroads Regional Chamber, and they merged about 10 years ago. And
Yep.
so we're all working on this together. And also Highland and Griffith merged their chambers. So,
Agreed.
I'd like to see one chamber.
I would
maybe
too.
you could run it.
I'll be honest with you, though. Honestly, and if it's too controversial, let's say that a governor came along and said, Lake County is going to be one city. Do it in like 2050, okay? Put it out so long that we can get used to it and swallow it, right? Don't do it 2 years from now. Do it in like 2040. So okay, and then we can start taking steps every single day to get us there. Because if we did that, this place would be a powerhouse. I don't know if they want to see that, though. Right? But do it so far out that the petty politicians, myself included, would be removed from it. It's okay, 2040, I'm fine, right? We'll deal with it in 2036, 2036 and 7. So anyway, thank you guys very much. I've rambled on too long. I appreciate you all. God bless Hammond. God bless America. Thank God for Indiana. Love you guys. Thank you.